No, that's not good. That's not right. Okay, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to class and to comment a little bit about what we do in a sociology of social problems class and some things that we have to be careful about in approaching, particularly the dizzying pace of the destruction of civil rights in this country that seems to be upon us. I know, of course, you know that this overturning of this precedent, and it's a precedent. That's a legal term, and it means, and it's been with us since John Marshall, who was the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Okay, and what that means is if there's been a precedent set that the court is supposed to honor it, that's not happening. You know, we have a radical, people who want to disassemble and reassemble the elements of the kind of the bedrock of society to their own religious ends or what have you. I don't know what's going on. And of course, this tragedy with Roe v. Wade is one example. That's only the beginning. I can tell you that they're already targeting, they're going to make it so women cannot get contraceptives, and they're going to strip all of the LGBTQ community of their civil rights, including the right to, marriage, right? They wanted, this is what this country has come to, unfortunately. That said, in a sociology class, okay, this isn't a class in just expressing your outrage about the issue, which is legitimate. Okay, it's going to take some time before we understand, the full ramifications of this. We are tasked with looking at social problems that are long-standing and have existed, and possible ways of dealing with them. We can't just write about current events, okay, as tragic as they are. Sometimes there's enough information, because it takes time to amass information, right? And this is, so we can't sit, we're not, this isn't a situation where we can react immediately. Some states are upping the game. They're expanding their care, right? And a lot of states aren't. Okay. That said, we need to look at long-standing social problems. Let me give you an example. Okay. There have been students who have written about another tragedy, in society, and that would be police violence, specifically against people of color, right? There is enough research and enough, over years to indicate that this is an issue, and there's been research done on it. We need to ground anything that we do, okay, and looking at research. So be creative, in examining a problem. Just don't react to it. Be systematic. Use the tools that we're going to look at. You can't just go, this is an outrage. Of course it is an outrage. This is not a class, though, in opinion or reaction, right? This is a class in systematically looking at what's going on here and looking at some research grounded way of addressing this. Okay. So with that, please keep that in mind. It's because, otherwise it's just chaos. We already know, for example, I can tell you that there's no scientific precedent for this, and that there have been elements of the political spectrum who have been trying to work to stop this since its inception. Okay, you could for example, under Ronald Reagan, he tried to declare it, that it was a health threat to women's psychological health, and his Surgeon General in 1987 did the research due diligence and found that no, the right to choose, the right to end an unwanted pregnancy, indeed had no psychological effect. It didn't have a negative psychological effect, and he actually, even though he was a kind of a religious guy, and he had to resign. Okay, so when we look at these problems, step back from for a minute from the outrage that you're feeling justifiably right now, and look at this in terms of what a social problem is. You cannot just tell me this is terrible. This is going to set everything back. This is not a class in reaction papers. I have to always say that. So, be very, let's step back for a moment. Step back. When you look at when you look at this, think systematically and think a little, think about it. Okay? And don't just react. Okay? There's plenty to react about. I know folks who have been working to protect these elements, for years, and they're having to, everybody's having to retrench. It's not a great time, but just to react is not going to move our agenda here in terms of the focus of the class, or in terms of what we have to do in terms of the social science analysis of it all. Okay, so thanks for listening, and let's move ahead.